On this episode of the Psychic Jam, we will be discussing how psychics deal with holiday energy and how to manage your energy for the upcoming holiday season.
You are listening to The Psychic Jam, a podcast that inspires holisticpreneurs like you to gain confidence, to learn, and to listen to your inner voice. Tune in as featured experts of the Psychic Associates discuss heavy and taboo topics, breaking down all the barriers of the realities of working in this industry.
Hi, I'm Amber Price, and I am joined by my co hosts, Jay Lane and Liz Throp. How are you ladies today?
Hey, feeling great. How are you?
Amazing, amazing. This is one of the topics that I love. I love talking about energy and the holidays being psychic because it's probably, I'm going to say, one of the top 10 things that I get asked, especially in the holiday seasons. There's parties and gatherings, expectations. You've got all these things going on. And as a psychic person, especially if you are an empath, and psychic, right? An empath psychic, you will probably start to feel a little overwhelmed and a little kind of depleted in energy. And this is what we want to talk about today is how do you protect your energy and be able to actually still enjoy the holidays? Because I know for a couple years there, I was avoiding anything altogether because I just felt overwhelmed. But hopefully you'll get to that point too, where one day you're going to want to say yes more and not have to keep yourself so, protected and not accept these holiday invitations because it is really fun to actually get together, right?
Oh,
It is so fun. Yeah, it's so nice to be able to connect. So, Jay, how do you deal with energy at the holiday season as a psychic? Because, you've got a lot going on. You're also an empath. So, what are your tips?
I love the holidays, but with the holidays comes a lot of sadness, especially for those who have lost their loved ones. And the thing is, when I'm seeing clients, it's to prepare myself because I find around the holidays that people's emotions are heightened. And especially if they lost their loved ones around the holiday season, a lot of people replay that. So I prepare myself for these events because they're very draining as a psychic medium because you're, of course, listening to them, you're feeling for them. And we're not trained as psychologists, but we're human. And of course, we're going to feel so sad for them. And so I prepare myself. I also have to release and let go once I'm done. So I prepare my energy, I center myself. I find that I focus a little bit more on what it is that I'm going to be hearing that day, because of course you don't know what you're going to be hearing until your client is actually in front of you. But for the most part, my experience in in my practice is that this happens quite often. And so once I center myself, I do great meditation, I will clear my space. But once they're gone, I really need to rebalance my energy because I find it very draining. And of course, we think about it. Once the client's gone, we tend to think about their stories. We tend to think about how they express their pain. And sometimes we feel helpless because although we give messages and we do give insight on how to be able to cope with this grief, we're still feeling their energy. And so I think it's so important also that if you have a buddy system, and we happen to be very lucky, ladies, because let's face it, we can talk to each other, but not every psychic has a buddy system or has somebody they could talk to and really confide about what's going on around them or their clients. And so a lot of times, in speaking to other psychics and mediums, I always let them know that they should really consider critical stress debriefing around some of the terrible things that they hear, because of course we tend to dwell on these things and feel sorry for people. And of course, the best way to help them is to redirect them to get the proper services to deal with what they're going through. That's another way I prepare myself as well and make sure that my resources are also up to date, because someone may be calling me and of course, you'll get the suicide calls. It's just the holidays. It's the way it is. People miss their loved ones, miss their families. And so you'll get a lot of these. So I'm very prepared as to where I'm going to refer to the crisis center at the hospital. I have the crisis center at the police department. I also have the suicide hotline numbers ready. I also empower people to take those steps because I think it's so important to let them know that it's okay to talk to other people and that they're not broken. They're just going through a tough time, or they're not crazy for feeling the way they do, because a lot of people tend to be embarrassed. Oh my God, they say, I've been grieving him for 3 years and I'm still feeling like this. It's that acceptance, So of course, I think that that's kind of how I prepare myself for the client. When it comes to myself, I'm going to be really honest, ladies, I avoid the malls. I do, because as much as I love Christmas and the decorations and the people and the hurry and the scurrying and whatever, it drains me because, every person has 3 to 5 spirit attachments to them. I'm feeling all of this energy in the mall, or I get stopped. And of course, again, people, oh my God, I lost my father around Christmas time. Could you tell me something? And it's okay to share little bits, nuggets with people, but it's to really conduct yourself in a professional manner so that you're not making that person feel like they're picking you to death, or taking advantage of you, because sometimes, we tend to feel like that when we go out. And then I'm just being very honest, because I get asked quite a bit. It's not that I mind, but some people really don't leave it alone, or they won't take no for an answer. So if you do go out, to prepare yourself, because 'tis the season for grief. And so a lot of people will recognize you and immediately want to talk about these things. So I always tell people, oh my God, I wish I could tell you something here. I'm so sorry for your loss. But then I encourage them to seek, the services of the psychic medium or light worker, somebody that will be able to help them connect. And so refer, right? And if not, to our type of profession, to somebody that can help them with their grief. So I always make sure that I'm aware of my local resources when I'm going out. So I do a lot of online shopping during the holidays to avoid, being bombarded by, certain people, or people that are really looking for some closure, or really, and I hate to say it like this, but desperate to reach their loved ones. And I totally understand that, because I've been there myself, so it's so understandable. So that's kind of what I do in those two instances. When I go to parties, I usually tell people I'm so excited to be here, but I'm not here to do readings really. I'm just here to kind of enjoy the festivities. But, if something comes up, I'd be happy to share it with you, because I don't want people to feel uncomfortable or feel badly for asking me. But of course, you have to set your boundaries and let people know you're there to enjoy yourself as well. So that's kind of my tidbits there. And I don't know about you, Liz, but I saw you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm like, yes, Jay, yes. And before I even go any further, we need to let our listeners and viewers, future viewers, know that you're releasing a grief course.
Yes.
So, this is something, especially with what you brought forward, Jay. I mean, this is an important course that, anybody who's dealing with it will definitely need in their life. So how do I deal with just with clients? Same as you, Jay. I prepare myself ahead of time. So I'm prepared for, well, it's been actually, it kind of starts in November, ladies, is how
Yes.
right? It's sort of, things start to escalate in November. And so I prepare mentally for that, just like you had alluded to, Jay. And then in addition to that, there's a lot of grounding happening for me all the time. So I normally ground myself, if I was to be honest, probably once a week. I'm not the greatest at, constantly doing that, but I'll tell you, through the months of November and December, it's daily. It's a daily practice that I'm really focused on and I'm staying true to. And also protection, I'm creating a protection around my time, because my time is scarce in November and December. And we, obviously, I think it's probably the same for you guys. Our schedules fill right up. in November, December. So it becomes, time is a very important thing to me. So going over to the personal side of things, how do I deal with that? So I create a plan that I adhere to. So I have an action plan of, how I want to approach, the holidays, parties. I create like an awareness, like a go-to awareness of how I want to address it. And I love, Jay, how you stated when you're at parties, we become the party trick, right? Everybody wants to know something that's going on in their life because, hey, I always get, hey, Lizzie, what do you think of this? Or what's going to happen with this? And it's like, oh my gosh, here we go. And you're smiling, you're smiling, but inside you're like, please just don't. But I like how you approach that, Jay. I will say that same thing. I'm not getting anything right now, but let me come to you if I do. I love that. Typically what I do is I kind of shy away from those people because they're habitual, right? That we have those habitual people who come up to us at parties and want to ask those questions. So I typically shy away from those parties and or people, which I feel sad about because I love them. And it's just, I just want to be engaging and fun in the holiday season. So these are things that you're probably going to find that you're doing at home as well, just so that you're not having to deal with that. Now, another thing, I really focus on, any kind of emotional slights. So because we're dealing with some serious trauma with people around the readings that we're doing, it creates some kind of trauma within us. Like there's no avoiding it. We're not Spock, so we are feeling the emotions of others, especially as an empath. So I find that when I'm dealing with those escalated type of emotional readings, specifically around this time of year, I then default to, taking things a little bit more personally in my personal life because my levels are a little escalated. So I'm consciously aware that I have to not take things personally. And I have to be reminding myself constantly that, it's holidays, it's fun, it's happy, it's fun, it's fun, it's happy. So I really try and pull that I rein myself in because I tend to, default to feeling emotional. And I really try very hard not to do that. So being conscious of it is the first step in addressing it and taking care of it. So those are just my 2 cents. What about you, Amber? How do you deal with all this?
Similar to you ladies, I find that having this ability and being who I am, it is something that I've just had to learn and go through and kind of adjust from holiday to holiday or day to day. When I go to, just on a personal level, like when I go to parties or gatherings and, like it's great, there's a lot of people to see, which I always think I'm so grateful for the fact that I have people to connect with. So I am grateful for that. Now, there are certain people that will say, oh, Amber is a psychic medium. And then I think to myself, I'm like, oh, wow, because, it's not the first thing I would say about myself if I met someone, right? Like if you think about how someone introduces themselves and then how someone else introduces you, one, it shows how they see you or what that feature is of you that they bring forward or how you. So I would just introduce myself as, I'm Amber, I'm married to Matt, I have all these children and grandchildren. And, I like to start with my personal stuff first about who I am as a person. If it comes up about what I do for work, then I will say, I do coaching or I'm a psychic medium or whatever I can around, depending on who I'm with and how it's going to lead me to the next thing, right? So if it does take me down that path of somebody asking for information while I'm at a party, so it's against my ethics to do that. So if I'm with someone and we are in a gathering, one, I don't know how they're going to react or what is going to be brought up if I bring up anything in that moment. Two, I don't know how other people around us are going to react. So those are the two things that I keep in mind. I always say that, which is 1,000% true. I'm not open to this today. Like, I'm not on, so to speak. I have done my guarding and my protecting and my grounding. So, just that is the process. I mean, it is not, there's no way around it. If you're going out into a group of people, you're going to be grounded. And if you are a seasoned psychic medium, you're going to be protected. You're not going to be on, so to speak. Now, for those of you who say, can you switch it on and can you switch it off? The answer to me is yes and no. Yes, you can switch it on. Yes, you can switch it off. And really what that is just the intention of your willingness to be able to open up to do it, right? I can get information psychically whenever they give it to me, right? Whether I'm on or not, it's going to come to me if it's meant to. But it's my choice and free will to decide if I'm going to share it, when I'm going to share it, how I'm going to share it. So I just always encourage somebody to say, if it's something you've ever been interested in, or you want to explore more, or you have questions for me, here's how you can find me. And after the holidays, we can connect and touch base, because I think it's important for us to be in the environment that's going to give you the best experience. So that's how I handle, people asking me, similar to you ladies. And I just, in terms of choosing if I want to go somewhere or not, I really do tap into my intuition. Am I going to say yes to something and then as an empath later get to the day and be like, oh no, I don't want to do that? Because I don't like that either. Once I've committed to something, I really want to commit to it. So as an empath, you tend to kind of look flaky if you're saying yes, you're excited about doing something, and then later you decide not to. That's not flakiness in the way that, the average person would understand it. What's happening to you is that you're excited about the idea of it in the moment, right? Like all these parties, the excitement, the whatever. But when you get to that day, you're starting to connect to the energy of the people that are coming, the energy of maybe the host or hostess that's getting stuff ready. And if it's intense energy, you start to feel really off about going and you decide you don't want to go and you pull out. Or you go and you're unprepared with your energy in groundedness and intention, and you have a bad time. Or you learn, no matter what, we learn something about everything, but it really is following your intuition. So if I get to that day and I really can't do it, I am going to say thank you, but I'm not going to be able to attend. But what I'm trying to learn as I get older and more mature with my abilities is to do that when I'm asked. So instead of using my intuition the day of or before, I'm learning to tap in on the moment I'm being asked. And so what that might entail is I'm going to say, thank you for the invite. I'm just going to look at my schedule and I'll get back to you in the next couple hours. And then I'm going to tap in to say, okay, is this something I want to do? Can I do it? Am I available to do it? And I ask myself, is there going to be any reason why I feel like I'm going to back out at the last minute? And if so, show me this right now. And usually it is just about being overwhelmed and having too many things. Like you can't go to a party at 11 in the morning and then one at 3 p.m. and another one at 9, and then tomorrow you're all booked up, because that is overwhelming for me specifically, and maybe for you as well as a psychic or an empath. But when I ground myself, I like to do things that are enjoyable to me. So I like to, especially around the holidays. So let's use Christmas. Christmas is coming. Thanksgiving in the USA is coming. So for instance, I like to watch Christmas movies or holiday movies. I like to stand out in the snow. I like to look at the Christmas lights. I like to read books, and I like to do meditations. I like to do art, building a gingerbread house, doing all these things, being creative. I find that very grounding for myself. So you can kind of decide what holiday it is. If it's Canada Day, woohoo, maybe you're doing face painting, or you're going to a parade and you're, as you're walking, you're grounding your energy, right? So as you walk, you pull and ground your energy. These are good things. Going for a walk, exercising, spending time in nature. You can do that no matter what the weather is, really, like as long as there's no, emergency weather alert, you can go outside at any time and spend time in nature. And that's what I really enjoy to do. And also, I also have to think, as a mom, I have to think about my children's energy too, because usually I'm bringing in tow my children and husband. So as a psychic medium and an empath, it's not just about me. I have to understand how my children are going to experience energy, and how my husband's going to experience energy, because all of them are super sensitive. So I also have to go through those things with them ahead of time. So if you're raising a psychic kid or have a psychic partner, you might want to do these things with them as well, in terms of having a conversation about, do you really want to go? Is this something all of us are going to do? What are we going to do if the children are overwhelmed by energy? Do they leave? Is there a separate place for them to go? Are they allowed to play outside? What is the plan once we get there if we need a break? Because here's the other thing. You need a break. You might be going to a party with all the people you love and adore, but you need to know where your escape exits are.
Bathrooms. People's
Right?
bathrooms are amazing.
Right, the bathroom, going outside and switching to another room or anything, right? Just being able to kind of have a few minutes to release yourself from the whole collective energy. That is amazing. So my parents have their house, and they have a nanny flat on the back of their house, so it's just through the kitchen door, and you're now into my grandmother's house. And what's amazing about going to their house, because my mom and dad always threw all these huge parties, 40 people or whatever in their house. So going to the bathroom or simply going into her house, what we would find is that there were certain kids and myself and some other adults that would periodically go into her place. And it was almost like, oh, you're taking a break from all of the energy. And then you can kind of come back in, and you would notice it was starting to pay attention. There's people that are doing that. So yeah, having a break, having a snack, the food you eat as an empath psychic medium is important, because I notice that if you're eating processed food, lots of sugars, baked goods, all the crazy good things that we love to enjoy at the holidays, I find for myself, I can't ground as well, and I'm intolerant of being able to deal with other people's energy when I get to a point where I've eaten not such whole or grounding or organic foods. And so what that might look like is, if you're starting to feel a little topsy-turvy, then maybe you're going to go and grab a couple carrot sticks or, have a salad. Those are really grounding foods really quickly. I find that it's super fast in switching my energy. So just being able to have a glass of water, have some fruits and vegetables, and being able to kind of separate yourself. And it kind of also makes you, body, mind, soul connected again. And just really setting your intentions ahead of time of just what it is that you want to expect or experience out of the day, because you really do create what it is you're thinking about, right? So you want to create a good experience, then you're going to set the intention that this is the experience you're going to have. And sometimes it's as simple as saying, please clear the energy. If this energy is not mine, please release it and recycle it for something for the highest good. This is something you don't have to leave the room for. You don't have to have a big, whole routine or something for. You can simply be sitting on the couch with 50 other people, and in your mind, you think, if this is not my energy, please release it and allow my energy to be protected. You could do that without even moving, and no one would even know. The other thing is, I like to have the option of wearing socks or slippers or bare feet when I'm somewhere. So depending if it's appropriate or not, having different footwear. If you're going somewhere fancy, like a ballroom or a gala or a restaurant or something, have an extra set of shoes. Like, don't wear your high heels and dress shoes. Maybe have a different set of shoes, or be able to free your feet, because if your feet are free and healthy and happy, then you will be able to ground much easier. So those are really the things that I kind of take into consideration when I'm managing my energy around the holidays, and helping to try to have my children and husband understand their energy around the holidays too. And it does get easier. If you're listening, it gets easier as you go along. The more you practice and the more you embody it, the more that you're going to actually understand how to do it, so that you're to the point where it doesn't matter where I am or who's around me, I'm going to be able to manage whatever comes my way. So that's that. Anything else you want to add, ladies? Because I thought this was such a fascinating conversation.
I did too. And I thought it was so great that you mentioned food, because you know what? Lots of snacks around the holidays. And of course, sugar really makes you tired. And also spirits, there's different types of spirits we're talking about. It's true. Don't attempt a reading while you're drinking. So just sort of advice.
Yep.
But it's true, like really just to keep your energy in check, just watch what you're consuming. So yeah. But that was great, Amber. That was great.
Such another, yeah, I thought so too. And you know what? I think that just goes to the other point of why I would never give a reading at a party. I don't give, I always ask that if you're coming to a reading, like say a psychic medium event for me, I don't serve alcohol at them because I want everybody to be, like to be able to embody and embrace the experience and to understand it to their full extent. So that's another reason why I would never just start giving information at a party, because I don't know if anybody's been drinking or indulging. And I think that that's an important factor too. Everybody is different. But for me, I feel like just the connection energetically, I need to know that person's connecting back the same energy and intention. And sometimes if we have had a few drinks, we don't have that clarity and that connection. So it does feel like you're kind of talking into a microphone, into the abyss, because they're not actually landing. It's not landing into that. Yeah. Well, this was great, ladies. So thank you so much for talking about this today. And if you are a psychic or a psychic medium or an empath or whatever your beautiful natural abilities are, and you would like more information on how to manage your energy or to expand your awareness, then please visit us at thepsychicassociates.com. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to The Psychic Jam. Please share if you liked our podcast. For more information on our services, or if you'd like to be listed on our directory, please visit thepsychicassociates.com.